Beckham is the Panthers' Odell Beckham is going up against the Panthers' Josh Norman. That's his target. He's looking to shut down. The Giants host the undefeated Panthers on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. Norman retweeted the following tweet with emojis saying that he strongly agrees with this tweet. There is no longer a debate. Norman is the best cornerback in the NFL. He held DeAndre Hopkins to 5 catches, Dez to 2, T.Y. to just 1. All 3 had under 54 yards against Carolina. This is what Norman had to say about the matchup.
I know this game going into it is going to be fun to be a part of. And just being a spectator, I'm sure a lot of people are going to have their popcorn ready because it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be very fiery, and we're going to see what comes out.
Stephen A., I know you'll have your popcorn ready. Who's going to win this one?
Well, I got to give the edge to the Carolina Panthers. I'm kind of torn. On one hand, I'm hoping that I'm wrong because I'd love to see Cam Newton continue this run because I think he's been nothing short of spectacular. On the other hand, the Giants are the Giants. I'm a native New Yorker. I'm going to root for my New York teams, and obviously I don't want the Giants to miss out on making the playoffs, even though I think they're in a world of trouble. But what I would say is this. I love the fact that Josh Norman is getting the recognition he deserves. He's worked very hard for it. He wants it very badly. He's clearly an elite corner in this game who has proven it time and time and time again against some big-time receivers. And to go against Julio Jones and the Atlanta Falcons and to contribute in holding them scoreless, I just can't say enough about the job that he's done. He's got 40 tackles on the year. He's got 4 interceptions on the year. He's been big time in every respect against elite receivers. However, having said that, I would say to Josh Norman, this is the biggest challenge of his season. Odell Beckham Jr., with the possible exception of Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. is the biggest threat. Now, Carolina hasn't played Pittsburgh this year, but I'm just saying that he's the biggest threat. Odell Beckham Jr. is the biggest threat to Josh Norman this season. This dude, Odell Beckham Jr., is on another level. He can fly, man. This brother's got all the gifts. He's got great hands. He runs great routes. He's got electrifying breakaway speed. He loves the spotlight. He plays under pressure. His 85 receptions for 1,320 yards with 12 touchdowns. Keep in mind that Ruben Randall has been inconsistent. Victor Cruz hasn't been there all year long. The Giants' running game has been questionable because their offensive line is highly suspect. Odell Beckham Jr. has been pretty much the only consistent weapon that Eli Manning has had this year, and he has still done what he has done. So there's no questioning his greatness as far as I'm concerned. It's an incredible challenge for Josh Norman. We all know he's going to have some help. It's not like Ron Rivera is going to leave him on an island and say, you're not getting any help whatsoever all game long against Odell Beckham Jr. But nevertheless, it's going to be a huge challenge. I'm still picking the Panthers, but I can't wait to see this particular matchup. That's what I'm waiting for this game.
Now, wait a second. Again, game score and outcome aside, we're just talking about this matchup. Did I hear you say that you think Josh Norman will get the best of this individual one-on-one matchup?
No, I'm saying I don't know. I can't wait to see. I'm saying it could happen.
You don't know.
It could happen. I really don't know. I'm in flux about that. I mean, I'm up in the air about that, honestly. Okay. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, if it was just one-on-one, I would say Josh is going to get his, and Odell Beckham Jr. is going to get his. But since the Carolina Panthers defense doesn't appear to have too much to worry about, I can see Josh Norman getting some help against Odell Beckham. Unless Josh Norman goes to Ron Rivera because he's got a lot of bravado, a lot of swag, and he feels shortchanged throughout his career, and he's anxious to prove. I've talked to this guy on several occasions. He feels he's on a mission to prove that he belongs or he deserves to be recognized as one of the elite in the game. I'm not saying Ron Rivera would do it consistently, but it would not surprise me at all if Josh Norman went to Ron Rivera and Carolina's defensive coordinator and that defense and he said, leave me alone on this guy.
I agree.
Let's see what goes down. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me.
I would agree. And if that happens, my money for the day will be on Josh Norman. He shut everybody else down except for Brandon Cooks. Now, Brandon Cooks can flat out fly. He's a little faster than even Odell Beckham Jr. is. And Brandon Cooks did go for 100+ on him in New Orleans. No big deal, but you saw what this man did to my man, Dez Bryant, at Jerry World on Thanksgiving. 2 catches for 26 yards. We know Dez is not 100% right now. We also know that Dez made the mistake of talking a little too much pregame trash, not directly to Josh, but to all the DBs of the Panthers, and Josh took it out on Dez. And my premise here on this matchup is, from all I've heard and been told, Odell Beckham Jr. is the biggest trash talker in the league among receivers, even beyond Dez, anybody else. And Josh Norman seems to feed off that, which is why I've called him this year's emerging Richard Sherman. Not that Richard isn't still Richard, but all of a sudden this guy has eclipsed everybody slightly because of the track record of performance. Even Richard's had a couple of breakdowns here this year, maybe not all his fault, but we've seen he have a couple breakdowns, give up a couple of big passes. We've seen Revis give up some big passes. We have not seen Josh Norman really give up any big passes. I don't think he's going to, well, let's just say this. I don't think this time we're going to see Odell Beckham Jr. running free down the middle of the field, waving to Eli. Throw it to me so I can go 84 yards for a touchdown untouched. It was a beautiful, you know, like disgusting sight for me. But
what I would say, Skip, is that we have seen Odell Beckham Jr. on several occasions turn a little 10, 15-yard slant pattern into a big-time play. We have seen it. It hasn't been, you know, just bombs away. This dude's production after the catch has been impressive as well.
I do give you that.
I would say to you that, again, I think that if you are an elite receiver on any level, particularly in one-on-one coverage, with any kind of decent quarterback, I think you're going to get yours. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to just destroy them the way you've destroyed other opponents, the way he destroyed Miami, for example. But could I see Odell Beckham Jr. getting his, maybe having 110 yards, 115 yards, with Josh Norman also getting his, and making sure he makes enough big plays where you know it's a kind of elite matchup? I can see that. But I don't know if anybody's going to get shut out in this equation. And if it is going to happen to anybody, I can see it happen to Odell, because I can see Josh Norman getting help that Odell Beckham may not get.
Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But here's why. Strategically, I think Odell Beckham is at a disadvantage. If Eli has the IQ everybody tells me that he has, the football IQ, you realize that starting at the other cornerback opposite Josh Norman is a former 5th-round pick in his 2nd year out of San Jose State in place of Charles Tillman, who's been hurt for a while. It's been about 4 games now. Benet Ben Wickery. Benet Ben Wickery is his name. He's starting at corner on the other side. So I'm just going to guess here that maybe Ruben Randall's going to catch a few, because I would think that maybe it would be wiser to throw at Ben Wickery instead of Josh Norman. Just me.
Well, yeah, but here's where I'd interject. You can do that, and that's fine. But knowing that Josh Norman is covering him, I imagine that huddle and those sidelines are going to be very, very difficult for Tom Coughlin and Eli Manning if they completely ignore Odell Beckham Jr. in a matchup like this. I don't think he's going to sit idly by and watch you just throw in a different direction because you scared to attack Josh Norman. Eli and Tom Coughlin are going to hear Odell Beckham Jr. saying, "What's up with y'all? What, you scared? Or you don't believe in me? Have you lost your mind? You better throw that ball over this way." And so, because that's what elite receivers, who obviously every receiver would acknowledge are divas, this is what they do. They come at you. And Josh Norman, and could you imagine how much trash talking Josh Norman is going to do if they won't throw the ball at Odell Beckham Jr.? I mean, that's going to be a bad experience. I'm trying to tell you right now, Eli Manning and Tom Coughlin ain't that stupid.
Yeah.
They will throw to Odell Beckham Jr. because Odell Beckham Jr. will see to it that they either do so or they're going to have a very miserable afternoon dealing with him.
So this could remind you of the night your man Aaron Rodgers failed to even look in the direction of Richard Sherman in Seattle. Remember that game?
It's not possible.
Not possible?
It's not possible. And not only that, Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb, as far as I'm concerned, should have been ashamed of themselves for allowing it. If you got any kind of heart as a receiver, look, to beat a man, you've got to beat the man. And if you want to be recognized as the best, you've got to be willing to go up against the best and handle your business. You don't be successful by running. When they played in that NFC Championship game, you saw Aaron Rodgers willing to throw the football in that direction then because he realized the error of his ways.
Final thought here. You realize we're talking about an ODB, obviously former first-round pick, and we're also talking about a Josh Norman who once again has proved the draft so unscientific and often unsuccessful in its ability to pick players because he was a fifth-round pick out of Coastal Carolina, and he has become the best cornerback in the National Football League. What does that tell you?
Yeah. How about
swing and miss again?
Certain teams.
Personnel experts don't know as much as they swear.
They don't.
And some do know how to work the draft. Jonathan Stewart, who's third in the NFL for rushing, will not play Sunday with a foot injury. If Carolina wins this game, they'll tie the 0-3 Patriots for third longest win streak in NFL history at 18 games dating back to last season. Up next, Russell Wilson, the Seahawks certainly know how to use the draft, has been taking the league by storm, but Mike Penn isn't completely buying the hype. Hear what he had to say after the break, throwing stones.